Welcome to the Week in Politics with Michelle Grattan. My name's Professor Klomp. I'm the Deputy Vice-Chancellor here at the University of Canberra. Michelle, the story of the week has been all about energy. The federal government and the South Australian government have both turned to gas as a fix for Australia's energy crisis, but they're not exactly working together on the problem. How are the two governments at odds?
Well, they've been, of course, at loggerheads for months now, ever since the really bad blackout in South Australia last year, and that was followed by some others, but there was one really bad one. The federal government has been attacking the South Australian Labor government over its reliance, very heavy reliance on renewable energy. And meanwhile, the federal government's been trying to get its own energy policy together. This has been a very slow process. There's a review underway, and the South Australian Labor government has decided that it can't wait any longer. So this week it came out with an energy plan, and at the centre of that plan is building a new gas-fired power station, which would be state-owned and would provide a base load backup to the renewable energy dependence. Now, the federal government, meanwhile, has been talking about a whole range of things. It's been talking about cleaner coal, it's been talking about gas, and now this week water. In terms of gas, Malcolm Turnbull had a meeting with the gas companies this week, and they discussed guarantees for available gas domestically. So much has been exported that we've been running low for the local market.
Yes, it was interesting, that meeting between Malcolm Turnbull and the gas companies. It appeared that he's extracted some promises, but is also waving a big stick. Do you think that the government fear that the gas companies might not cooperate in the long run?
Well, it was notable that several times he was saying, well, we have the power over these companies because, of course, the Commonwealth has power over exports, but nevertheless, the government wouldn't want to get to the stage of using that power, and it does seem to have promises from the companies that they will make more gas available locally, and they will ensure it's available at peak demand times.
And then, of course, you've already mentioned hydro. The Turnbull government has announced the new scheme to draw more power from the Snowy hydro. How far will this go towards addressing peak energy demands on the east coast of Australia?
Well, obviously this scheme, assuming it does eventually go ahead and there's a feasibility study, would be quite important in backing up renewable energy and ensuring that this problem of intermittent supply, which is a feature of renewable energy, is overcome. But it is going to cost $2 billion or so, and it's not clear yet whether the states, which have part ownership of the hydro, in fact the federal government has only minority ownership, whether the states will kick in money or how it'll be financed. And also it would take several years before it was built and operating. I think at least 4 after the feasibility study, possibly more. It's interesting that it's a scheme that apparently has been in Snowy Hydro's bottom drawer for quite a while, and when Malcolm Turnbull started to talk about pumped hydro, Snowy Hydro opened the drawer and got out the scheme and said, here we have it.
So it was good time for the government.
And good time for Snowy Hydro.
And finally, Labor was elected in Western Australia over the last weekend. What implications, if any, does it have for the federal scene?
Particularly the One Nation vote was watched in that election, and Pauline Hanson didn't do as well as many had expected and that One Nation had talked up. Nevertheless, the vote is substantial enough, I think, to be concerning for the Turnbull government, and immediately the question of whether preferences would be given to the Hanson party was raised. Malcolm Turnbull just left that question open. Of course, there was a big debate about the Liberals giving preferences in Western Australia, and that backfired. So the Hanson factor is an implication. I think also such a big loss for the Liberals really does add to the tensions in the federal coalition in the Liberal Party, because people are increasingly, of course, worried about the polls. The election is 2 years away, but nevertheless these days politicians live in the moment, and these polls federally are not good. The fact that there was such a wipeout in Western Australia just underlines the problem that when voters are unhappy, they really react strongly.
Amazing. Fascinating times. Michelle Grattan, thank you again.
Thank you very much.